I'm what? What? I'm shocked. This is an outrage. What? Have you noticed on DNA test result videos, they always have to say, shocked, outrage, I'm what? It's such a cliche, so we have to buy into it as well so that you'll click on the title and watch the video. What are we gonna do in this video? Well, as I've expressed before, over the nearly decade that my wife and I have been married, people have mistaken my wife for my sister and my sister for my wife. They apparently look alike, and we've featured that in videos before. And so because of that, that also implies that, well, then, so we resemble each other, we look like we could be from the same part of the world. Let's find out, thanks to our MyHeritage DNA test, which we both took. Let's do a side-by-side comparison, and we'll find out if any part of our DNA overlaps. That's pretty interesting, right? It's almost like if you had a doppelganger and you wanted to find out, oh, are we, well, except for we're different genders, okay? So this is fun, here we go. So we're gonna start out with Europe. When we break down Europe, I am 37.4% North and Western European, which is just generic. In other words, implying that that's like Germany, Belgium, France, like that area, and like Netherlands, okay? So basically German, because my last name is Shell, German. So basically I'm 37.4% German. Here's what's interesting. When you look at what's beyond that, specifically, I'm not any of the things that my wife shows. So you are
English, Scandinavian, Finnish, Irish, Scottish, Welsh.
Yeah, so you're 62.3% North and Western European, but you're specifically English, Scandinavian, Finnish, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh.
And mostly like English 31% and Scandinavian 23.9%.
Whereas with me, I'm 0% any of the things she just named. Instead, all of mine falls on, again, like the German and French side of things. So isn't that interesting? So she's like basically what, double, so you're 62.3% North and West European, and I'm 37.4. So I'm half as much North and West European, but the part that I am is the exact opposite of what you are. So already, as we look at North and Western Europe, there is an overlap, but specifically targeted, they're the opposite parts of that region. So that's already interesting because it's not quite a connection there. Let's keep going. Do you have anything for South Europe?
Greek and Italian. Okay. Greek 20% and Italian 5%.
Here's what's funny. On my South Europe, I'm neither of those things. Instead, I'm 31.8% Iberian, which implies Spanish and Portuguese, but because of my grandmother being Mexican, more so than anything, it's most likely Spanish. So that's interesting. So even, and how much of you is South European?
25.9%.
And mine's 31.8, which is a comparable amount, but again, the complete opposite. We don't connect it all on that. So that's interesting. That's like about half of our DNA has yet to really connect. Okay, let's keep going. Do you have anything for East Europe?
Yeah, Balkan.
Okay.
7.8%.
Okay. So I show generically 6.1% Eastern European, but then specifically I show 2.3% Balkan. So how much Balkan were you again?
7.8.
7.8. And I'm 2.3. So there you go. There's about 5% of us that is an overlap in DNA, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing the math right. So there we go. About 5% Balkan, because again, you are 7.8. I am 2.3. What's the math on that? 5.5?
I don't know. All I can think about is Balky from Perfect Strangers.
Oh, yeah. Which he was Balkan? Like, well, he was like generically Mediterranean. He was like from a fictitious country. But yeah, that is funny, and I love that show. So we're about 5.5% overlap on Balkan. No, actually, no, because I'm only 2.3%. So really, there's only a 2.3% overlap because of mine. Okay, so I'm that bad at math. There we go. All right. I messed up your phone. All right, moving on.
And then I'm Jewish.
Oh, right, and I'm not Jewish at all.
You're not Jewish at all?
My mom is. My mom's 15.2%
I thought you were Jewish.
Sephardic. According to my mom's test, but not according to mine. It didn't show up on mine.
Ashkenazi Jewish
So it's like European Jewish.
Oh.
And Sephardic would be like yours is
Persian?
Or no, it's actually more like Spanish.
Oh. Okay.
So yours is more broadly European. Mine's more specific to like Italy and Spain. Okay, so what's interesting is now we're moving to different continents, and you've got what do you got? You got
Africa.
Africa. So I've got 0% African on mine.
Oh, you got 0% African?
See, my mom is
Your
a little.
mom
My
has
mom's
got-
like, what is she, like 2% African? I'm not
That's
African
so
at all.
interesting.
Okay, so what do you show again for that?
I'm 2.6%, 1.9 being from North Africa, and 0.7% from Nigeria.
Yeah, so you've got 2.6% African. I've got 0, but instead, here's the other continent I leap to. I leap to America. So it says Central American, 21.6%. So I'm about a fifth Mayan Aztec is what I like to call it. Because if I say Native American, people get confused and they think of like head feathers and Choctaw and Creek and all that stuff. And like the Tim McGraw song. That's not me at all. It's Mexico. It's southern Mexico, Michoacan, Mexico, where my grandma's family was from. So about a fifth of me is Central America or Native American via Mexico. But what I want to look, so you have 20.1% Greek, and I have 21.6% Central American. So I think maybe, just a loose theory here, but we both have about I dropped my phone. We both have about a fifth of us that is that thing. So maybe somehow your Greekness and my Central Americanness is maybe actually the thing that is similar enough, mixed with all the European stuff that we have that's not exactly the same, that ultimately brings us together. Let me go back to my phone that I dropped. And I've still got one more tiny little thing, and that is going to be the Middle Eastern part of me, which you don't have any Middle Eastern.
No.
I am 0.8%, just kind of broadly Middle Eastern that shows up. Now my mom, when you combine it all, she's about 14%.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. So her Italian dad basically was arguably half Sephardic Jewish and half Middle Eastern. None of that shows up on my test, which goes back to if you're not familiar with how these DNA tests work, you get half of your DNA from one parent and half from the other, but it's a random amount, a random mix. So whereas my sister, she got a lot of stuff that I didn't get. She got some of the Jewish and I didn't. She got some of the Italian and I didn't. So it's not a mystery. It's not, oh no, we're not really related. Like, I totally get it. You get a random part of each parent. So like, you have your brother that took his DNA test. If we do a video of him, his is going to be different than yours because he got a different. And of course, my wife's 9 of 10 kids. So if all 10 of them did a DNA test, they'd be a bit different. And no one would say, oh no, we're not related. No, we understand how it works. But in review, here's my theory on if you think that we look alike, here's my theory on why that is. My theory is there's that 2%-ish overlap on Balkan, which Balkan, by the way, people will ask me all the time, what does that mean? My quick answer to that is it's kind of a mix between Turkish, Mediterranean, and Slavic is ultimately what it is, which we both definitely have that overlap anyway. That's ultimately what kind of Balkan is. Think about like Macedonia, Romania, Bulgaria. Think of nations like that. That's kind of what it is. Okay, so we've got the 2%-ish Balkan going on for us. But then again, I theorize her 20% Greek and my 20%-ish Central American mixed with all of our other stuff, the European that's not exactly the same parts, ends up making us apparently look like we could easily be from the same tribes when really we're not. We're really not. However, both of our moms are half Italian. But again...
But your moms didn't show up as Italian, right?
No, your mom showed up 45%, and my mom showed up 2%. 2% is what she showed. So when she adopted the DNA from her parents, she got what my Italian grandfather actually was Italian. We don't know, but he obviously wasn't too much to got that little. So we both have half Italian moms.
Yeah, but even to say that, my mom was 45% in her actual DNA test.
Yeah.
And I'm what? I'm only 5%.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the numbers are just so crazy.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people watching these videos, they get confused. They'll say, oh, it's a scam. And what I believe is it's not as predictable and it's not as scientific and perfect as we'd want to be, but it still gives us a good overview because it still matches up to what we already knew. Mm-hmm. You obviously knew your mom is half Italian and half Croatian.
Yeah.
And then we knew that your dad, last name being Tuttle, that would imply English. And then we knew that there was Norwegian in there. Somebody was adopted from Norway. So it's like it adds up. It matches up to what we already know. But because we get random parts from our parents, it kind of throws it off. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think my theory makes sense. There's a little bit of Balkan overlap, but ultimately Greek, Maya, and Aztec. And that makes us magically look like we could be related, even though there's very little overlap. Again, our moms are both have Italian, however you want to sort that out. So with that being said, what are you supposed to remind me?
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, and why? Everybody say it all at once. Because on February 20th, YouTube will no longer let us make money from these videos if we don't have 1,000 subscribers because we don't seem relevant enough. We're about halfway there at 500. So if you can subscribe, it magically makes us look more powerful in the YouTube world and that we're worth being paid for our hard work. You could do an act of kindness right now. It's up to you. Would you help the old lady cross the street? Yes, you would. Then why wouldn't you subscribe to our channel? It's pretty much kind of the same thing, right?
Almost.